Accessories and appliances further. Here we are on the interior of the EV2, and wasting no time, we have that mattress pulled out of the way, we have that access panel removed, and we are going to kind of talk about what we have going on behind the scenes within this unit. So looking down here into this compartment, this big black box that you see, that's going to be the battery box for your 4 lithium batteries. And then right beside that, we have a Renogy inverter. Of course, what that inverter is going to do is allow us to take advantage of our 110 volt appliances while we are off grid or disconnected from shore power. And then also in this compartment, we have our battery charger. That's going to, of course, maintain those 4 lithium batteries while we are plugged into, again, 110 volt electricity. And then we also have our Renogy branded solar charge controller here on this back wall. We're not going to go too much into the functionality of things here in this compartment because there's not really much that you should do or have to do. Most of these appliances have, auxiliary or secondary monitor panels or switches to turn them on. We did just want to go ahead and take a minute and kind of outline which each of these components are. Now here at the back of the compartment, we can see our water heater. And then we also have our water pump here on the back wall as well. Now, if we are going to be storing the unit over winter and we have the likelihood of freezing temperatures, it's very important that we not only drain all of the water from the unit, but that we also do a full winterization process, and we're going to need to access this compartment to do so. So starting with the process that we outlined on the exterior of the unit, once we've done that, which is draining all of the water from the systems, including the water heater, we're going to come into this compartment and we're going to bypass the water heater. So normal operation, you're going to find that both of these valves are going to be pointing towards the inlet and the outlet of the water heater. That's going to be normal operation for you. When we are trying to bypass the water heater for winterization purposes, we need to move those into that secondary position so they are in line with this hose that is connecting both the inlet and the outlet. What that's done is that's went ahead and bypassed the water heater. We're then going to come over here to our water pump. We're going to see this kind of secondary line that looks like it leads to nowhere. Of course, we want to be careful of our wiring connections that we also have here in this compartment. We're going to fish that hose out into a common area. So if we were to trace this hose all the way back, we're going to find another valve. We are then going to open that valve up or move that into the secondary position. Now, once we've went ahead and bypassed our water heater and opened up our vacuum line, we're going to take the end of this. Of course, they have a little black plug on there. We're going to remove that. We stick this directly into our bottle of RV grade antifreeze. And what we do is we walk around the unit inside and out and open up both the hot and the cold side of each fixture. Once we see that antifreeze at the fixture, we're going to give it a few seconds to fill up any P-traps on the way out. And once we've again done that to all of our water sources, including the toilet and outside shower, we're going to be fully winterized and ready to store the unit over, again, a winter period. So with those components that we just discussed in mind, we're going to come here to the back wall, or I guess front wall of this particular camper, and this on-off toggle switch that we find here, now that's going to go ahead and turn our inverter on and off for you. So this is just the remote switch, and again, just a reminder, what that inverter is going to do for us is that's going to take the 12 volt power that is provided by our lithium batteries and of course turn that into 110 volt usable electricity. And then right above that, we have our battery monitor panel. What this is going to do is give you a real-time readout of where your battery is sitting in terms of voltage and percentage of being charged. Now you can also set alarms on this so that it will shut off the 12 volt power, and what that's going to do, is keep you from discharging those lithium batteries to potentially an unsafe voltage. As you can see here, it's flashing green. Now what that is that's our indicator that it is actually that those batteries are currently being charged. This could be intrusive, maybe if this turns on when you're trying to sleep or something. So What you can do is if you hold this top button down, what that's going to do is go ahead and dim that indicator out. Now it does have its benefits. It's nice to know, when the system's in charging and things like that. So you can turn that kind of indicator on and off depending on the time of day, depending if you get tired of seeing that green flashing light. Right inside the door here, we are going to find our fire extinguisher. This is, of course, a very important piece of safety equipment. And with all of our safety equipment, we are going to test that every single time we take the unit out. That not only is going to include our fire extinguisher here, that's also going to be our smoke alarm as well as our carbon monoxide LP leak detector. For this particular appliance, you're going to find a green test tab on the top. If we push that back, or push that down, I should say, and it springs back, that means it still has pressure or life in it. If we were to need to use it at that time, it's going to work well for us. Now, if that button stays depressed, that means we do need to go ahead and replace the unit. Also right here, it's a good time to talk about the windows that you are going to find throughout the unit. You do have two styles. Mostly it's going to be this crank out style. You'll also have an emergency exit style, and we will make sure we demo that for you. But with these, we just go ahead and rotate that knob clockwise. That's going to go ahead and crank that out into the open position. Before doing any traveling or going down the road, we do need to make sure that we close it before moving, and then we can go ahead and take a look here at how the shade works. These are kind of be like projector style shades. So if we go ahead and pull down, it's going to, of course, stay in that down position. If we want it to retract, we pull past that stop position and it's going to go ahead and run up for us. Talking about how we go ahead and make out the bed, we're going to utilize this jackknife sofa to do so. Before getting into that, it's worth noting that you do have some kind of combination storage here. So this certainly could be used as a footrest or an ottoman. But if we go ahead and lift up on the top, you're going to find some storage under there as well. And we, of course, have this in kind of both seats here on this couch. So once we go ahead and put that in, now, first thing to do when we're making this out into a sleeping area is we need to fold down the couch. So we're going to kind of pull the couch out as far as we can. We're then going to lift up on the front, help back the rear. And then what you do is you just kind of tuck these cushions in because it's a nice tight fit there. So everything is laying nice and flat. And then all we have to do is grab a hold of our mattress and fold it over. Go ahead and kind of manipulate it in a way that, again, it's going to lay flat for us. On the way back up, of course, same thing in reverse. We fold our mattress over. We again go ahead and grab a hold of the couch from the front, kind of lift it up. Once we reach that middle position, we grab from the back and help it the rest of the way up. So as promised, we're going to talk about our emergency exit window. Now do keep in mind, these are designed for if you encounter a true emergency and your entry door or escape door is going to be blocked. What you're going to do in that scenario is, of course, you have a little tab here. You're going to yank that screen out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to lift up on this handle here and push outward. Now, if we're operating it as a normal window, of course, it can stay open in that position. That's fine. That's going to feed fresh air to the camper. No issues there. But if we are truly wishing to exit the unit from this location, we're going to push that window full out. And of course, it's going to open fully like a doggy door. And again, allow you to exit the unit in a true emergency. Here we're going to find our Intellitronics energy management system. So if we go ahead and take a look here at the display, what this is going to help you do is kind of choose precedence over which AC circuits you are wishing to run. And this is going to help better kind of manage that power consumption. So we have 1 through 6 here up at the top. Now, if we were to go ahead and look at the breaker box of the unit, that's going to correspond with the 6 AC circuits that we have within the unit. Now that's going to, again, allow you to kind of fine tune and manage things better. Biggest thing with this is to get kind of a true overall understanding of how this works and how to set it up. You're going to want to consult the service manual. That's going to, of course, give you all the information that I cannot currently do in the time provided for us. And then if we go ahead and take a look here at this switch, it is going to be labeled cooktop and fireplace. Now both of those are kind of very high draw 110 volt appliances that are going to share a circuit. So what that means is that we cannot run both of them at the same time. So we need to choose either or. Of course, if you're cooking a meal, we need to be in the cooktop setting there. And if we are going to want to run our fireplace, we're going to switch it over to there. And then further down, we have our GFCI resettable outlet. Now, all the outlets on this particular unit are going to be on the same circuit. If one of them were to get overloaded and reset that GFI, we're going to need to go ahead and return it by pushing that center button. And what that's going to do is, again, restore functionality to those wall receptacles. And then coming down low here, we have our fireplace. Now it's going to have an on off button first up top. As you can see, that's going to display the flame. And then the next one over is going to be the light. So we can choose different colored lights there as far as different intensities as well. Or actually, I believe that one's just the color. The intensity is going to be the next button or the brightness of that flame. And we can go ahead and turn that all the way off if we wish to do so. Now this also does have a heater built into it, kind of like a space heater design, which is nice to have, kind of an electric heat option. So what you're going to do is that's going to be the last button there on the display, and you'll actually have a display come up on the particular screen down here, and that is going to tell you where you have that thermostat set. You can also, I believe, set run temperatures, or excuse me, run times with this, set timers and things like that. So it is pretty user friendly and super adjustable. And so it will be a great addition to the components that we have going on throughout the unit. This is going to be your Furrion stereo unit. Now this is going to give you access to AM, FM radio, Bluetooth, CD, DVD, all that fun stuff. So these are generally very easy to navigate around. You have most of your modes here on the bottom. And then of course, you know, your standard kind of stereo presets and things like that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you do have 2 zones of speaker. One is going to, of course, be your interior speakers, and 2 will be your exterior speakers. So it's very important. Those are controlled. The volume is controlled separately on those. So let's make sure that when we are only pushing music out to the outside speakers when we truly wish to do so. Right above my head here, we are going to find another very important piece of safety equipment. This is going to be our smoke alarm, of course. Just like any other variant, it's going to run on a 9-volt battery. Now we do need to test this every single time we take the unit out. Of course, we need to make sure it is in good working condition. Also, my recommendation is go ahead and keep a spare battery within the unit. That way, if this were to indicate to you that it needs to be changed, we have a spare to go ahead and switch it out to. This is going to be your television set. Now, this is going to be on a multi-positional TV mount. It's very important that when we are securing this for travel that we are pushing firmly back and making sure that is locking in. Now again, if we kind of can move this out of the way, let me kind of change gears here. If we move it kind of out of the way as best we can, that's going to expose our antenna booster plate. Now this corresponds with a omnidirectional digital over-the-air television antenna that is going to be housed on the roof. As long as this red light is on, that means that antenna is getting power, and all we need to do at that point is do a channel search throughout the TV. And that's going to bring in the best over-the-air programming dependent on our signal. Now, if we are going ahead and utilizing the cable and satellite inlets there on the exterior of the unit, we need to make sure that this is in the off position so that can allow that cable signal to bleed through the line. Other than that, if we kind of, again, move this to this secondary position, we're going to find that we do have a couple USB ports there behind the TV as well. And what we're going to use those for is, of course, to power any USB-driven devices. Now, returning the TV back into its stowed position, we can come down here into the kitchen area. What you're going to find here with the sink is going to be your rollout sink cover. So that's going to, of course, not a ton of counter space throughout this unit. So if we're doing any sort of meal prep or anything like that, this is going to be beneficial in aiding in that. So when we don't want to use it, we can easily just roll it up and stow it in a drawer, cabinet, wherever we'd like. That's going to, of course, expose your large single bay sink. Of course, hot and cold fixture here, as you would traditionally see. And then coming over here, we do have our induction cooktop. Controls are going to be here along the side edge of that. You're going to kind of find your more traditional controls to turn burners on and off, set time and temperatures and things like that. Taking a look here at this panel, quite a bit going on. So first thing up is going to be our convenience center. Now, as I mentioned on the exterior of the unit, this is going to give us a real-time readout of where our tanks sit in level of full. So taking a full look here at the display, the more lights we see here up at the top, that means the fuller the particular thing that we are evaluating is going to be. So in this case, if we push the battery button, that battery is going to indicate a full charge. Now that battery is going to indicate full anytime you are plugged into shore power. So to get a true readout of where you sit, you do need to unplug and then test. Now we have our freshwater holding tank, which is indicating full as well. We have our black water tank, which is indicating empty, and our gray water, which is indicating empty as well. Now this is kind of like a generic panel, so you're going to see a gray tank or gray 2. That would be if they had plumbed this to have 2 gray water holding tanks, which is not the case in this particular floor plan. So this last one's going to be kind of a null and void option. And then right beside that, we have our water pump switch. Of course, we talked about on the exterior on how that's going to pressurize that freshwater holding tank system, draw that water up to the fixtures and make it usable. We then have a living room light switch, which this is going to just be just about all of the overhead lights that we do find on the ceiling. And then we have down below that a awning light switch. So you have two lights on the side arms of the awning to light that space. And then below that we have our awning extend and retract switch. Now, this is a momentary switch. We can kind of choose how far out we want to position that awning, kind of follow the sun in the sky if we wish to do so. One thing to be careful with this is being that it's not like located super close to the door, what I could see potentially happening is that you go to extend this and you actually overextend it. So it's not going to stop for you when it reaches that fully extended position. And if we were to continue to hold this, what's going to happen is it's actually going to start rolling back inside out, which is not good for the mounting hardware and the arms of the awning as well as the fabric. So we do want to keep that from happening. Let's go ahead and make sure we are operating this switch correctly. All right, guys, next up is going to be our convection oven microwave grill combination. In terms of functionality, it's going to be very much the same as to what you're used to. You, of course, have your modes dead center here, and then we have a couple specific food time and temperatures outlined, of course, numbers here like you traditionally see. If we go ahead and open it up, what you're going to find is a heating element here at the top. If we want to go ahead and operate that in that grill setting, we have a plate here to utilize the convection, and then of course a turntable down here when we are using it as a traditional microwave. And then below that, we have our carbon monoxide propane leak detector. As we talked about on the exterior of the unit, there is no propane ran throughout this unit, but they really only sell these in combination models. So this is going to, of course, need to be tested every single time we take the unit out. It is wired into the 12-volt section of the camper, so there is no battery to change or maintain. We do just need to push the only button on the particular appliance every single time we take the unit out. It will indicate that it is in good working order with a series of light flashes as well as an audible tone. So next up is going to be our fuse panel breaker box. Of course, this is branded with that Intellitronics logo, and we talked about how that, of course, corresponds with the display that we have on the cabinetry. As promised, you're going to see these labeled 1 through 6, and they are going to, of course, correspond with that panel we talked about earlier. Other than that, these are going to be resettable breakers, the same variant you're going to find in your fuse panel box at home. And then beside that, if we go ahead and open up this cabinetry here, We can see we have a small fuse block here that's going to be for our 12-volt appliances, and that's going to go ahead and utilize a automotive blade style fuse. Those are readily available at any RV dealer or parts house. It's not a bad idea to pick up a variety pack of fuses and keep them with the unit in the event that you are out there in the wild and you need to switch one out. Next up is going to be our 12-volt compressor style refrigerator. Now these are awesome little appliances. They are very, very efficient, and they are kind of easier to operate than your more traditional ammonia absorption RV style refrigerator. In terms of functionality, they are very, very easy. You have one single mode button that we're going to find here on the inside, again, kind of like you would with a residential refrigerator. You're going to see your settings, and you're going to use that same knob to go ahead and turn it all the way into the off. So if you turn it down so low, you're going to feel a click. That's going to be the off position. Of course, you can fine tune it as necessary from there. Now, right above my head here, we have our air conditioner controls. So this is going to be your mode button. Our options are going to be a low fan, high fan, low cool, or high cool. So we just have variances in fan speeds and air conditioning as well. And then we have a thermostat button here that's going to kind of fine tune that setting within that mode setting as well. Along the sides here are going to be our filters. Now those are going to house a washable, reusable filter. It's very easy to remove and install that. You have two little deep detents here for your fingers. What you're going to do is pull that out of the way carefully. That filter is just going to slide out the end. We can rinse that off in the sink, give it time to dry. Once we replace it, we're going to be good to go. Now forward of that, you're going to find your max fan. You'll have one of these above the bed, one here in the kitchen area, as well as one there in the bathroom. And again, these are exhaust fans. They're to help kind of exhaust the unit of air or vent the unit. You have a push button here, so if we push that and lift up, that's going to open up that lid. And then we have a fan button there. Again, that's going to help you push air from the unit. Here we can see our dinette area kind of made into that secondary sleeping area. Meant to accommodate, of course, a small adult or a small child. But we're going to show you how to make that back up into your dinette area. So you're going to take these rear cushions. So these are the backs to the bench seats. We've relocated them over the tabletop, again, to fill out that mattress. So we're going to take those and return them back to their original positions. We're then going to go ahead and get our tabletop out of the way. Now, if we go ahead and take a look here, we have some Velcro along this tabletop that's going to keep that secure. And when we actually go to install it, we are setting it on top of these black bumpers that you see here. Now we have a little place saver that is into that floor pedestal, which is fine. We can go ahead and remove that. Now this is going to be our table support. And what I do with this particular setup, before I even try and insert that into the floor flange, I make sure that this keeper is backed all the way out. Of course, we're just going to line up the shapes there. Make sure that drops back in, and from there we just start to tighten it. Now as we're tightening it, it's going to retract that little keeper, and it's going to stiffen up very quickly and be nice and secure. So from there, all we have to do is take our tabletop, set it on there, give it a push down. That's going to secure it further. And as we can see, that's a decently secure connection on all fronts. In the restroom here, first thing up is going to be our shower. Of course, from a functionality standpoint, not too terribly much to discuss. One thing to mention is that this is going to utilize a standard RV shower head. What that means for you is it provides you with the ability to cut that flow of water on and off here at the head by utilizing this push button here. The reason being for this is, of course, as mentioned on the exterior of the unit, it does have a 6-gallon capacity water heater. Unfortunately, that just does not translate to an exceptionally long shower. So what we find most of our customers doing is taking military or Navy style showers. What that means is they cut this flow of water on and off multiple times throughout their shower to help conserve water consumption. So this will allow you to do so without changing your mixture here at the fixture. Next up is going to be our porcelain bowl toilet here. We're going to utilize a light press to fill the bowl with water, and then of course a full press to go ahead and flush. Now, one thing to mention is when it comes to toilet treatments or black tank treatments, those are all going to be entered through the system right here at the toilet. So make sure we're following the recommendations of the specific product that we're using, and we're going to be good to go. Make sure we use a single ply RV grade toilet paper. And if our specific camping situation allows us to do so, we want to make sure that we are utilizing long flushes and feeding as much water into that black water holding tank as we can. Now kind of switching gears and turning around, above my head you have a light fixture as well as that max fan. Now we're not going to talk about how to operate the fan because it works the same as we previously discussed, but you're going to see a new switch here, and that's just going to be for this halo light above my head. And then also we have our switch here on the wall, which is going to control that secondary light that we have here in the bathroom as well. Okay. All right, guys, that just about covers it here on the walkthrough of the Revolve EV2. We hope we answered all of your questions. If maybe we missed something or you need a further explanation, don't hesitate to comment below or feel free to give us a call. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day. Take care.